The tens of thousands of Central American children who have risked their lives to cross the border into the U.S. could have their day in court much sooner than expected. The U.S.'s Justice Department Immigration Review Branch will be speeding up hearings for those children after criticism that the backlog system would allow them to stay in the country for years while waiting for their cases to be heard. The courts are now giving each child an initial court hearing within 3 weeks of arriving in the U.S. One thing that often gets lost in all these numbers and discussions is each child's unique story, unique voice, unique experience. I want you to meet 15-year-old Dulce Medina. Dulce testified before the Congressional Progressive Caucus this week about why she fled Guatemala in 2009. She is joined by her immigration attorney, Brian Johnson. And here in Miami, we're joined by Jonathan Freed, Executive Director of We Count, an agency that helps undocumented immigrants. But Dulce, I want to start with you. You crossed into the U.S. You were just 10 years old with the help of a coyote. Tell me what went through your mind as you decided to leave and that journey to the United States.
Oh, good morning. I decided to leave Guatemala because somebody tried to sexual abuse of me and a lot of violence in my country.
Dulce, you and a friend were walking, you were very, very young, and someone in your town tried to rape you, correct?
Yes.
And no one wanted to help. No one, no government official was willing to step in and help. Is this unusual? Is this something that has never happened to children before?
Actually, it's really common because it happens a lot of times. But a lot of times the people don't do nothing, or the police don't do nothing over there in Guatemala.
Brian, you represent Dulce and two other children who testified at this hearing on Tuesday. What's the biggest challenge for you as an immigration attorney dealing with these cases of children?
I'd say that there's two big, good morning, there's two big problems. First, to get the children to open up about what happened to them in the past. We have to build trust with the children so that they tell us what happened, and so we can see if they're eligible for legal relief to stay in the United States so they're not deported to their home countries. And the second biggest challenge is just emotionally, it's very difficult to hear stories every day about how children have been harmed or that they're facing harm if they're deported back to their country. And we have over 150 children, clients right now from Central America, and it's just very difficult for us to hear the story. At the same time, we really enjoy our work because when we do win a case for a child, it's very rewarding to see how much we can affect their lives for the best.
And Brian, how many of these children will be allowed to stay, like Dulce?
I would say most of the children from Central America will be able to stay. There's two principal forms of deportation defense. First, there's asylum, which everyone's heard a lot of. But then there's something that's much more common that's called special immigrant juvenile status. And that's for children that have been abandoned, neglected, or abused by one or both parents. And that's what Dulce was awarded. And I'd say more than half of the children are eligible for this form of relief. And our position is that all children that face harm in being deported to their country should be able to remain in the United States. It does not matter whether they're eligible for legal relief. The fact is that these are war zones, and none of the children should be sent back to war zones.
Jonathan, Miami is one of 4 metro areas in the country with the largest number of children being released to parents or family members. Tell me a little bit about what you guys are facing as far as numbers and real problems that you have in having these children come forth and tell their story.
Yeah, well, I think I live in Homestead, which is south of Miami. We have a very large Guatemalan community, so we've seen a lot of Guatemalan children coming in. And I don't think it's unusual. I think it's happening around the country, where there are immigrant populations, children are trying to reunite with their families.
All 50 states are seeing children.
Absolutely. And it's very tough for these kids because they're very scared. And that's the first thing that you notice in talking with the family and the kids. These kids are afraid. They don't want to go back to their countries. When we ask them, what is it you want, the first thing they say is, help us stay here. So what we've been doing is we've been helping the family members with the paperwork once they're in the custody of the U.S. government and in a shelter to fill out the paperwork so they can be reunited. And then we're referring people to legal support.
And you talk about this paperwork, and there are people like notarios, notaries, even fake notaries in the Latino community many times that are stealing these children and their families' money fill out paperwork that really shouldn't cost $2,000 and $3,000.
Yeah, they're charging huge amounts of money really to fill out a few sheets of paper and to help pull together a few documents that they need to.
Are these kids that are crossing over, are they recidivist crossers? Are these people who have been deported in the past?
We have not seen any children,
not one
that has come to the United States before. And every one of their stories is different. I think some of the kids are looking to reunite with family members in the United States.
Nuclear family?
Nuclear family. Some of the children are facing very serious family situations. Others are fleeing violence from gangs. All of them is on the base of extreme poverty. And it really begs the question, why is it these young people see no future in their home countries?
That's such an important question, and we've been talking about it every day here on this program. And Dulce, I just want to kind of wrap up with you. What would you say to people that say, you know what, Dulce, I feel bad for you, but this is not a problem the United States should deal with? What would you tell these people that say, it's not my problem, it's Guatemala's problem, it's Dulce Medina's problem?
Well, I will tell them that although it's like our problem, but we're just trying to like find someone or a place to be safe, because over there's a lot of violence. I used to see a lot of violence in the streets, and anywhere you could see violence. Mostly over there, a lot of gangs in school, in like, you know, if it's been a lot of trouble. If you don't do what they tell you, sometimes they just like want to kill you or do like bad things to your family to make you do things that you don't want. And that's something that we know that it's bad and we should not do it. So we just try to run away from it. And sometimes it's hard coming to this country, but I came to this country, my journey was okay, and now I'm happy that I found a lawyer who really helped me on everything, and I was allowed to get my green card. And I really would like all those kids in the border to have the same opportunities I did, because I know they're running from harm and they're trying to reunite with their family, how I did.
Right.
And
Dulce, thank you. Thank you so much. Dulce Medina, Brian Johnson, and Jonathan Freed. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having us.